Hey, hi, hello there. How's it going? I am the Grandmaster, and I also go by D.Rey, bringing you BBR Season 7. Holy shit, we back. Damn. We took a little bit of a break, team, and honestly, I ain't sorry about it. It's something that I definitely needed. I'm very, very, very refreshed. Damn, I needed this break. We've been going kind of hard for the past year or so, and I just needed some time to myself, and I definitely feel like it was the best thing for me. And I'm so excited because the ultimate end goal was to feel refreshed and excited for Draft League, and I definitely am. I can bring you guys some exciting fun content, the old D.Rey that you guys love to see, and I'm excited for it. If you are too, do me the massive favor and rage fist that thumbs up button, and if you're new, por favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, hit the bell button so you get notified every single time we post a new video. The small amount of time it takes for you to hit that like and sub really truly does help me a lot. So please just hit the sub button. It would help a lot. Please, 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 please. Now, BBR, man, Season 7, holy shit. Big shout out to my Eggmans, Dell, OG Albina, and John Jr. You guys really do make this thing go. And to the monstrous BBR community, thank you guys so much for supporting us for 7 seasons now. Holy fuck. This is my baby. I'm very excited for it. So what is Draft League, right? Draft League is fantasy sports married with Pokemon. There are 16 coaches this season. We have an 8-week season. Each one of us took turns to pick Pokemon. At the very end of it, we all ended up with 9 to 12 picks, depending on what the coach wanted to do. And then each and every week, we'll go head to head to see who ends up being the champion. Hopefully, it'll be us. We'll see, you know, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But the goal is just to make playoffs. That would be top tier. That's honestly my ultimate end goal. Anything more than that is just icing on the cake. We were the fifth overall pick, and we took Ursaluna Blood Moon. This was the main goal, number 1. That's the lie. I did want Latios, but honestly, especially since, you know, my buddy OG Albina, who picked 4th overall right before me, basically confirmed that we were not going to get Latios. So the moment he said that, I was like, damn, I'm getting Ursaluna Blood Moon though. Then this Pokemon is so fucking good. We're gonna hop on into Pokemon Showdown just to give you guys a little bit of a leeway of what this thing looks like. Blood Moon, man, this Pokemon has ground and normal stab. Honestly, perfect coverage just with this 2 stabs. And this fucking broken ass ability. Mind's Eye basically is like normal type Scrappy, which means that there are no immunities that can hit ghost type Pokemon. And having Blood Moon being a 140 base attack can hit literally anything, which is fucking nuts. The only resistances to normal is Rock and Steel, which gets hit super effectively, but you guessed it, ground type moves. So with these 2 stabs, perfect coverage. Literally with its stabs. And nonetheless, it still gets great coverage too. And just in case we want to go for a super effective button, but nonetheless, we don't need to have it if we don't want it. Vacuum Wave is nuts. It's a bear and it can go fast. It has a vacuum. It can hit things hard. It has priority, which is really, really nuts. Also, Moonlight literally gets recovery. Why? I don't know. It's Blood Moon Ursaluna, probably just dances out in the moon. I ain't complaining though with these stats. Look at this thing, 113 HP. 120 defense, 135 special attack. This Pokemon is absolutely gargantuan. I'm so excited to just literally chew hits and click buttons with this Pokemon. That's the number 1 thing that I wanted to do, is to just have Pokemon that I can just click buttons with, because that's obviously where I play the best. Get the mons in that hit super big button and just literally go from there. Next thing we picked up here was our Sun. Annihilate ended up with us at the very end of round 2. Which I think is a good spot for Annihilate. Now, I do love this thing, the Absolute Death. This is one of my favorite Pokemon to use. I draft it as literally, it's my mascot. So I'll draft it as honestly as often as I can. Without Terra, this is not going to be the big threat that we had it should be, right? The Terra rules for this league is that we're going to be doing low tier captains, which is 10 points and below. 10 points being like the mid tier, considered low tier. I'd say the middle point pack, because the highest tier was 18. And so 10 points and below is where you can grab a Pokemon like Terra. It can only be 2 types. It can be of any type, but only 2, and only 1 Terra Captain. So Annihilate cannot Terrastalize, which is not a bad thing, right? Annihilate for sure is not as good without Terra. The way I think of it, it's S tier if it can Omni Terra. If it can choose any kind of Terra, it's literally one of the top 5 best Pokemon in the format, in my personal opinion. Now, if you can terrestrialize it and it not being Omniterra, then it goes down to being like A tier, right? It still is more preppable. Usually it wants to be water or fairy, sometimes steel, if not Ghost Stab, to boost his Rage Fist move, which is really, really nice. But otherwise, without Terra, Annihilate kind of falls to the very end of round 2, which is where we got it, because we're having the 5th pick. We had to wait till the very end of the 2nd round, which is right where Annihilate should go, in my personal opinion. And pairing this thing up with Ursaluna Blood Moon is so fucking good, dude. Like, 2 Pokemon that literally don't need anything else but their stabs. Also, this move is what makes Annihilate broken. Rage Fist, every time this Pokemon gets hit, it gets plus 50 power and it boosts up to maximum of 6 hits, which means 350 base power, and it doesn't reset when you switch, which is so crazy. Pair it up with things like Drain Punch. Rage Fist plus Drain Punch is literally perfect coverage, which is fantastic, which allows it to set things up like Bulk Up to be able to bring for longevity, so we can be super Spadef bulky and just start setting up Bulk Ups, which is kind of nuts. It does get good utility stuff, kind of things like U-Turn. I do think that this is very niche, but you can run Stealth Rock, depending on the set. Really, all you need each and every week are these 2 moves. And allowing the flexibility to run something like this is really cool. It also gets really good fighting type stat, things like Close Combat if you want to run Choice Scarf sets. This thing can be pretty versatile, especially since it's not going to be pinholed to that terrestrialized button, which is actually kind of nice. Things like Gunshot to be able to hit Fairy type Pokemon, they're going to want to come in on an Annihilate to be able to tank a Drain Punch. But if this thing has boosted up Rage Fist, it's pretty tough, honestly. Pretty tough. It gets great coverage. I love it to death. Great Pokemon to use, very, very fun to use. It's very, very simple to use. As long as you can set this thing up with Rage Fist boost, you're literally already such a heavy threat to win the game. Fantastic abilities. Defiant is fantastic. This Pokemon really does deter hazards. I say deter, I would say punish hazards, because it's a Ghost type Pokemon, right? So it's able to block Rapid Spin, and it deters the opponent to want to click Defog in front of it, so that way it doesn't get that +2 attack boost. So evasion gets dropped whenever you click Defog, which would activate Defiant. That gives it a +2 attack boost, which can really make Annihilate really out of hand. It really snowballs opponents real fast. So I'm really excited that we have Annihilate. Fantastic Pokemon. I love to pair it with Ursaluna, and having my favorite Pokemon on my team really makes me have fun with the game. That's really the main reason why I wanted to get it. So the next Pokemon that we picked up, we wanted to be able to have him on to be able to switch in on things that want to get these guys in very safely. These guys will thrive when they can get in free switches. So one of the best Pokemon is, one of the best typing, I should say, is the Steel typing. You always want to get a good Steel type, and you always want to get a really good Fairy type. That's my motto, right? So I wanted to get one of the best Steel types on the board, which is Corviknight. Corviknight's going to be doing a couple different things for us. Corviknight's going to be able to soak up hits and then being able to click U-Turn to be able to get in Annihilate or Ursaluna for absolute free. And this Pokemon being a Steel type plus a Flying type really has a lot of resistances, which is fantastic. It has U-Turn for that slow pivot momentum. Even though this generation Roost is indeed nerfed and only has 8 PP power points, it still has longevity, right? It can still be able to come in, soak up hits, and then just U-Turn out. It does have some cool stuff that it can run, like Bulk Up and plus like Power, plus Power Trip, which is basically like stored power but dark typing. That's also really nice that it gets things like Body Press to take advantage of this big defense stat. So it could be Spadef, it could be Fizdef. It's really just here to soak up hits and get up the other guys. As long as I'm able to facilitate these two to be able to, you know, do their thing, that would be the #1 thing. So I wanted to get a Pokemon that's going to be super reliable, just to come in, take a hit, U-Turn out, and get in an Annihilate, or Ursaluna. And I think that we ended up nailing it on the head. Corviknight is a very, very reliable Pokemon. It does what it does best, honestly, and it's one of the best Steel types in the format, in my personal opinion. Some people love it, some people hate it. I haven't had the chance to use it myself, and for what this team wants to do, it's a fantastic fit. So for my next pick, I did want to facilitate Annihilate just a little bit more, as well as Ursaluna Blood Moon to be able to either set up or get in safely, or to be able to get in a little bit more softly. So with the next pick, we decided to pick up Ninetales Alola. Now, fun fact, I actually just recently played it in a Showdown Draft League in the BPL. I believe it's the best Pokemon League is what the abbreviation is for that, and we ended up in the finals. We didn't win the championship, unfortunately. We came up a little bit short. Fantastic game, but a Ninetales Alola was really the big reason why we did so well. This Pokemon is really fucking good at what it does. Again, same concept as the Corviknight. So from here, we decided to get a Pokemon that's able to facilitate the big guys, right? So we have Aurora Veil. This Pokemon's ability is Snow Warning, which means upon switch in, it sets up the snow. And there's a big snow buff in Generation 9 for those who don't know. This being an ice type get a 50% boost to the defense. So instantaneously, just by having its ability, Ninetales defense skyrockets by 50%, which is fantastic. And in the snow, Aurora Veil is able to be clicked, and for 5 turns, both Light Screen and Reflect go up simultaneously, which allow for setup on Annihilate to be able to get in that Blood Moon Ursaluna very safely. And otherwise, it's still a fantastic Pokemon that can set up on its own with Nasty Plot, which is great. Hypnosis shenanigans is actually going to be really nice. Because of being able to come in and instantaneously set up the Snow Warning, get up in Aurora Veil, Ninetales is basically free to be even bulkier and go for those Hypnosises. Even though it's only 60% accurate, since you got the bulk now, Hypnosis is able to be able to click multiple times. If you get it on the first time, that would be great, but Hypnosis is more reliable to click on this Pokemon. And having a base 109 speed, fantastic. Already a fantastic speed tier to be able to outspeed the majority of the metagame for the higher threats, right? Which is fantastic. It gets things like Freeze Dry to be able to hit super effective damage on those water types, which is really good. It doesn't really have anything to get on steel types, which is not that great, but it does get a Baton Pass now. So if I can anticipate or predict my opponent to want to bring in their steel type, then I can just click Baton Pass, get on out, and then the scary Annihilate comes in. Or there's on the Blood Moon, which is fantastic. And pairing up with Corviknight, we do give ourselves a fire type weakness, but that's okay. We can always patch that up a little bit later, but Ninetales Alola is going to be a good facilitator for the big guys, which is really what I was trying to aim for in the first place. So I think that really fills in the role well. Gives us a fairy type, a fast Pokemon, an offensive Pokemon, a utility Pokemon, pivot momentum, which is fantastic. We got 2 pivot Pokemon to get in the two big guys, the bear and the ape. Next up, we picked up Deoxys Defense. This is under the theme of being able to get in our guys for free. Deoxys Defense did retain Teleport, which is really good. Teleport being on Deoxys is fantastic. Teleport, for those who don't know, is a negative priority move to be able to get in for priority, right? So not priority, for momentum, I should say. Teleport, user switches out, but it's negative priority, which means that it's going to soak up that hit. And with base defenses of 160, holy shit, it can chew hits. Chew a hit, click Teleport, get on out of there, get the big guys in, which is fantastic. It does get longevity with Recover, and I do love the fact that it has Spikes and it has Stealth Rock. Why? Because our Steel type, which is typically the Pokemon on your team that is going to carry rocks, being Corviknight, cannot rock. It does have Defog for being able to remove hazards, which is something that I didn't mention before, but it can't set up hazards. It doesn't have Stealth Rock and it doesn't have Spikes. I do have it on Annihilate. We did talk about that before, but I did want to get a Pokemon that wants to run Stealth Rock. Annihilate does it in very niche instances. So we want to get a Pokemon that can get those guys in for free with Teleport, but being able to set up these hazards reliably is fantastic. And the fact that it's base 90 speed, typically you can stop hazards by taunting them, right? You click taunt, the Pokemon can't use anything but an attacking move. But the thing is that this thing's super fast, deceptively fast, which is pretty, higher than the taunters that want to run taunt, so it's easier to get up those hazards, which is fantastic. It doesn't have the bestest attacks, but this is going to be a Pokemon that just honestly soak up hits and just get in the big guys. Again, this is the same thing as we have with Ninetales and with Corviknight. We have 3 Pokemon back to back to back that are here to facilitate the Annihilate and the Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is the #1 thing. If these guys can get in, their dual stabs can literally run away with the game. They can both set up, they can both hit extremely hard instantaneously, more so Ursaluna than the Annihilate, but these 3, being able to get them in safely is top tier. So far the team is looking quite snazzy. I like it a lot. Now looking at the team now here, we have 4 Pokemon out of our 6 that will probably be bringing the vast majority of the weeks. We've got bulky pivots, we've got utility, we've got hazards, we've got removal, we have a lot of things that we need. We have a fairy type, we have a steel type, we're literally killing it right now. This team is one of the best I've honestly ever drafted. I do have Corviknight that can remove hazards with defog, but I want to be able to keep my hazards up that Deoxys wants to set up and Annihilate wants to set up, and keep them up, because defog does remove hazards on my side of the field as well as the opponent's side, and that's not good if I want a hazard stack. So I did want to get a Pokemon that's able to not only take on those fire types, because both of our fairy and our steel type are weak to them, and I don't have a resistance, which is not good. So I do have to patch up that fire weakness. So I want to get a spinner, a rapid spinner, and a water type to be able to come on in on those fire type moves, and none better than our boy Blastoise. This is the very first time I use this Pokemon, and the fact that it was here in round 6 literally boggles my mind. This Pokemon does so many things so well. It's literally the epitome of a draft league Pokemon. I think it's going to thrive in this format, honestly. It gets things that literally can come differently each and every week. Things like what? Things like Shell Smash. Giving Shell Smash to Blastoise gives it a nice little Pokemon to literally run away with the game. Pair up with Ninetales with Aurora Veil. I think this could be a pretty solid combo. It doesn't have the best attack, 83 and 85 special attack, and unfortunately, they did neuter the boy. It took away Scald, which sucks. It does. It really does. But I did love the fact that it does have Shell Smash and it has that option. But Shell Smash is just a niche thing that Blastoise can do. It's a threat that my opponent does have to prep for, and that's what I like a lot. It's basically making my opponent think about multiple different avenues that we could take for the matchup, and being able to force the fact that like, hey man, if I don't prep for a Shell Smash Blastoise, I could probably auto lose this game. But the main reason that I pick up this Pokemon is because it's another bulky pivot, and it did get access to Flip Turn. Flip Turn is a water-based move that has momentum, so it's able to take advantage of this 100 defense and 105 special attack and 79 HP to chew a hit, click Flip Turn, get that momentum, that slow momentum, and once again, get in the big boys. These dudes, Ursaluna, Blood Moon, and Annihilate. So I think this is going to be really nice to be able to, you know, just facilitate those guys, which is fantastic. Also getting access to Rapid Spin, like we talked about before, we wanted to be able to keep those hazards up. Muy bueno. Being able to remove the hazards on our side of the field, but keep them on my opponent's side is going to be fantastic. It gets great coverage, gets access to Aura Sphere for that special coverage for the fighting type moves. It does get Body Press this generation, which could be pretty nice on Blastoise. And also can pair it up with things like Iron Defense, which I believe it does have. It does. Liquidation for the physical side, Ice Beam for coverage, Hydro Pump, Haze to be able to not be set of fodder, which is fantastic. Haze as well as Roar, I believe it should have. It does. There's a couple different things that this thing can run. Water Spout is fantastic on Choice Scarf sets. Blastoise can facilitate a lot of stuff, and I think it's really good, especially for this team. Again, it's going to patch up that fire type weakness, get that slow flip turn out, and get out the big boys, Ursaluna and the Annihilate. Next up, I did spoil it. We grabbed our Terra Captain. We have Jolteon. Jolteon is going to give us some speed. Base 130 speed is fantastic on Jolteon, and we wanted to get this as the Terastallized captain. This is our Terra Captain for this league. It was, I believe, 7 points, 6 or 7 points, and now we have literally perfect coverage for a fast Pokemon to literally clean up a game. This Pokemon is going to be such a fucking threat. It's so good. Jolteon has the ability of Volt Absorb to be able to be a good electric type immunity, because looking back at my team, I have 2 Pokemon that are weak to electric, which is Corviknight and the Blastoise. And now I have something that's able to come in that isn't Ursaluna Blood Moon on maybe an electric type hit that Ursaluna doesn't want to take at that time. It's able to come in on that with that Volt Absorb and get healed up, which is fantastic. And the base 130 speed was the main attraction. And now what's gonna come in on an electric type, right? A dragon type. So we have the ice typing. So the ice type Terra Captain, we have ice type, we have grass type. So dragon types want to come in, they get bopped by ice coverage. The reason that we are grass is because it's basically any kind of ground type Pokemon now has super effective coverage, if not neutral coverage. This hits the Gastrodons, the Quagsires, and actually up until the very end of the draft, no one drafted one, which is really crazy. No one drafted Swampert. No one drafted that aforementioned Gastrodon. The only reason that we're grass here instead of water is because honestly of Aster. Aster, in case we did place him, is going to be really tough to deal with that Quagsire. Unfortunately, I hate to say that out loud, but it's the truth. So at least we have super effective damage on that Pokemon. Otherwise, it would have been ice and water. That we can hit those any kind of ground type Pokemon for super effective damage. So Being able to have grass is really, really nice to hit those Pokemon that are part water and ground and have the availability to switch into neutral coverage on the ice typing, which is fantastic. There's also a couple things that I liked about Jolteon that really helps the team. Primarily, Wish. Wish is fantastic, even though he doesn't have the highest HP. A Wish is a wish, right? A Wish to be able to get up that a little bit of health on Annihilate specifically would be really, really nice. Things like Volt Switch to be able to get that fast pivot momentum on whatever they think that the Jolteon check is going to be is really, really nice. And again, Terra Blast, Grass, or Ice is going to give us perfect coverage. What's cool about the evolutions is that they gave it Calm Mind. Every single one of them have Calm Mind, which is really, really cool. Calm Mind gives it setup opportunities when in the past it didn't have. Being able to soak up a high speed stat, and so we can set up a Calm Mind before the opponent, chew that special hit, and be able to hit a +1 attack, which would be really nice. And base 110 special attack is actually really, really nice. Also, with the DLC they gave it, I believe it's a fairy type move. I don't remember what exactly it was. It was Alluring Voice, which is really, really nice because now it has something to hit the dragon type Pokemon without having to be Terra Fairy, which is really, really nice. So if all they have to check in their team is a dragon type to be able to resist an electric type move, now we have coverage for it. For that dragon, which is really, really nice. So I think that Jolteon is going to be a fierce Terrestrialized captain. I'm very excited for it. Next up, we picked up Hisuian Arcanine. This is going to be our fairy killer. Shout out to Obo, who completely fucked us. And no, I'm just kidding. He got what was best for his team. But this was the turning point of the team building process for us, which actually I want to thank Obo for, because I think I really like the way the team worked out without it, because I was going to pick Kleavor here. Kleavor was going to be our physically offensive Pokemon to be able to set up hazards by clicking Stone Axe. That move is fucking broken. Boosted by Sharpness, Stab, plus sets up free Stealth Rock. So we want to get an offensive Pokemon to still set up Stealth Rock, which is really, really nice, and force some prep here. And it's also going to be helping us out with a fairy check, because right now our only fairy resist is Corviknight, and I don't want to put that all on Corviknight. Fairy is the best typing in the game, and everyone and their mother is going to want to be Terra Fairy on the Terrestrialized captain. So I did want to get a really good fairy check, and Arcanine helps us out with that, being the fire type and then the rock type. This Pokemon is going to be a fantastic wall breaker for us, getting access to things like the Rock Head ability plus Head Smash. Literally allows it to click this button without any kind of recoil. And it does have Flare Blitz for stab as well. So Flare Blitz plus Head Smash plus Rock Head is going to hit things really fucking hard. As well as having things like Priority of Extreme Speed and the aforementioned Stealth Rat that we talked about, which is really nice. This Pokemon's going to come in on fairy types, chew a hit, and just literally dish out incredible damage. Having access to Priority plus powerful dual stabs is going to be absolutely obnoxious for my opponents to deal with. And that's exactly what I wanted. So ironically enough, the snipe was better for us because we would have had Kleavor here, and honestly the way that the team turned out, I'm very happy with it. Next up we picked up was Skuntank, which is the absolute fucking goat. I love a Skuntank. This mon is so damn good. This is a poison and dark type Pokemon, and they gave us some crazy buffs. For those who don't know, this Pokemon get access to knockoff and toxic spikes. It didn't have it before, but we didn't have knockoff support, honestly, which is kind of annoying. Being able to remove hazards, not hazards, to remove items, things like heavy duty boots for the hazards is really good. And now we have access to toxic spikes. So we have spikes, we have Stealth Rock, and we have toxic spikes. And it's great. We have great coverage, things like Flamethrower and Fire Blast and Overheat for those steel types, which is fantastic. It gets coverage, which is really good. Access to things like Sucker Punch is going to be fantastic. Super Fang to be able to have some utility to him, and Taunt, which is fantastic. This mon's able to do a lot of things. Toxic is fantastic. It is a poison type, which means it's 100% accurate. Foul Play for those Pokemon that want to think that they can set up on Skuntank. This is a very reliable Pokemon. Being able to set up Toxic Spikes and have a poison type that is touching the ground to be able to absorb automatically those T-Spikes that my opponent wants to set up on our side of the field is so good. You almost have to have a grounded poison type. And this is a very good utility mod for the team. I like the way that it turned out. It's a very good glue piece. It honestly could do exactly what it's supposed to do each and every week, which is set up toxic spikes and knock off items. And maybe honestly sweet because it does have access to Nasty Plot. We can have an offensive, physically offensive Skuntank to do damage plus Sucker Punch. Very good flexibility here. And then to cap things off, we wanted to just get 10 Pokemon just to kind of have more diversity in which mons can come each and every week. I do like to have very good Pokemon and not have fillers, if that makes sense. So I did want to just get rid of the rest of my points. The minimum we could carry was 9 and the max was 12. So we're going to sit right at the middle and take 10. And the next step, we took Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur was a big chunk of 16 points. It is not a Terra Captain, obviously, so it's not going to be as good. But being able to pair this thing up with Ninetales is fantastic. Being able to set up things like Dragon Dance and Swords Dance is going to be very good for this team. It has a broken move in Glaive Rush, which is a signature Dragon type move, is base 120. It does have some drawback that if I don't knock out the opponent on the next hit that the opponent hits on Baxcalibur, it does 2 times damage, which sucks. But base 120 is kind of nuts. Having great setup opportunity and having Ice Shard for priority is really good for this mon. Being able to just literally pick up the game and run with it is a nice little element to have to this team. It gives me more setup opportunity and another thing for my opponent to have to deal with. So having the Dragon typing, it's a very good pairing with Ninetales, and having the Corviknight is fantastic. Also, one thing that this thing has that I did like a lot was Thermal Exchange. Thermal Exchange, even though it is part Ice type, it does make it to where if you hit it with a Fire type move, then you get a 1-stage attack raise, which is fantastic, and it can't be burned. The fact that this is a physically offensive Pokemon that can't be burned is so fucking scary at base 145 attack. This is a fantastic mon to just either break a team or run away with the game. So I think it's a good cap off to the team. But this is what we got going on for season 7, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'm very excited for this season. I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet, but I think I made it a little bit longer than I wanted to. But I'm excited, man. Draft League's back. The BBR is back. I hope you guys do enjoy this season. I am the commissioner of the league, and so I hope that the show really entertains you. And if you haven't already, in the description of this video will be a link to the Discord server for the BBR. That way you can interact with all the coaches this season. We have some fucking bangers this season. It's gonna be so good. There'll be pick'ems, you can chat with them. It's gonna be a fun time. There's a massive community in there, and we love to have you. If you aren't already in there, hop on in, and I'm very excited to see your face and give you guys a chat. Without further ado, guys, that's the team. Let me know what you guys think. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys next week for week number 1, where we take on the boy, my dear friend, Amel. It's going to be a fucking slobber knocker. It's always so unpredictable whenever you face Amel. He's one of the best players that I know. I'm terrified, and you guys are in for a treat. With that being said, I'm going to get the heck up out of here. Have a great rest of your day, and above all else, be nice. Peace.